Hey guys, so we're back. We're going to do another lab today, just like we did on Monday. We're going to be looking at weathering and erosion, just like we did Monday. But now, we're specifically going to just look at weathering. So on Monday, we did a Skittles lab that talked about weathering and erosion. We got to see the process of weathering, as well as the process of erosion. Now, today, we're just going to look at weathering. I'm sure we've all seen caves or have heard of caves. And caves take a while to form. Now, normally, we would do something, we would make a model to demonstrate what's happening in the real world. We would do this lab in class. But instead, I'm making a video about it. Now, obviously, I can't take you out in real life and let you see a cave form. They take a while to form. So instead, we're going to do a model. This way, we'll be able to see a cave forming. Now, we've talked about models before. A lot of times when we do labs, we're making models. So we're using certain material to model what a cave forming would be. Now, as you can see, we have Play-Doh. The Play-Doh is going to act as the external part of the cave, the external rock. And then we have sugar cubes, which is the internal part of the rock. We have a toothpick for the lab. We're going to see what that does in a second. And then we have a pipette and water. So, today we're going to see mechanical weathering or physical weathering, as well as chemical weathering. So let's get started. The first thing we have to do is we're going to take a toothpick and we're going to jab holes into the Play-Doh. Now, why do you think we're jabbing holes into the Play-Doh? This is because we're physically altering or physically weathering the rock. We're causing cracks in the rock. This would be like cracks. So we're going to go all the way into the Play-Doh and we're going to make nice holes. Not a lot, probably 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know what? Let's just do 6. 1 more. There we go. Okay. So now we have caused cracks in the rock, our holes. Physically, mechanically weathering our rock. Now, we're going to take our pipette and we're going to fill it up with water. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have the water seep in to the cracks. Let's do it a couple times. So we'll fill up our pipette, and then it's raining onto a rock. Do it one more time. And let's get here. Let's get here. Let's get here. Okay. And that was 3 times we filled our holes with rain. Now let's see what's happening to our sugar cubes. As you can see, they don't look as solid now, but they still are there. They're still sugar cubes. So while we give it time, what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up again. So let's keep adding rain. Let's keep adding rain. Because obviously you guys know when it rains, it continuously rains for a while. It doesn't stop after a couple drops. Even if it's a quick rainstorm, it rains really hard first. We'll do one more. Okay. Now, we're still looking. So we're going to give it a little bit more time and we're going to keep doing this. Because obviously, like I said before, making caves takes a process. Okay, guys. So we're still back. We're still looking. Let's do one more round with the pipette. Okay. Now, ooh, look what's happening. They're starting to dissolve. Ooh. Let's do a little bit more. Now, ooh, look at that. Look at that. It's starting to dissolve. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but the sugar cubes are starting to dissolve. Now, as time would go on, those sugar cubes would completely be dissolved. So that relates back to our question. How do you think caves form? We take pipette or dripping water and the sugar cubes are dissolving. How do you think the internal part of the cave dissolves? The same thing. The water gets into the cracks of the cave, the external rock, and dissolves the internal part of the rock. So over time, holes start opening up and we get caves. Now, what type of weathering is it taking place when we're dissolving the sugar cubes? When we dissolve the sugar cubes, what type of weathering is taking place? That's right, chemical weathering. So now we see physical weathering when we're jabbing holes in the Play-Doh or cracks forming in the rock. And then we see the sugar cube dissolving, which is chemical weathering, or the internal part of the cave dissolving. Now look at that. Look at that. It's all dissolving. So, do you think regular water dissolves sugar cubes? Yeah, agreed. Now, what about regular water? Can regular water dissolve the internal part of a rock? No, it's not actually just regular water. Remember, you'll recall, we talked about this in our climate unit. We as humans are emitting a lot more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So when water falls down to the earth, water's present in the atmosphere, and water reacts with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and that causes it to form carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is a very weak acid. So it's not detrimental to your health necessarily, but it's weak enough where if it builds up or accumulates, it can dissolve rock. So it's not regular water that's dissolving the internal part of our caves. It's the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So, to recap, we just saw how caves form. Let's take one more look at our project. Oh yeah, that's dissolved. That's dissolved. So, caves form because of a combination of things. One, physically weathering or mechanically weathering the rock so we get cracks like we did in our Play-Doh. Water falling down from the sky that's mixing with carbon dioxide, forming carbonic acid that seeps into these cracks and dissolves the internal part of the cave. And then we get caves. Now notice, has the water impacted the Play-Doh? No, the Play-Doh is still here. The only thing that impacted the Play-Doh was when I physically poked the hole in the Play-Doh. So now we see how caves are formed. And to recap, not recap, just so we're all on the same page, make sure we understand what our model is. So obviously, I put everything in a soda bottle so it could be easily filtrated. It's an easy cleanup. But the Play-Doh is the external rock. The sugar cubes are the internal rock. And then the pipette and water represents rain, more importantly, acid rain. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you finish your work and submit it.